Hey everybody, my name is Ed. Okay, so we're going to do another quick graphic novel review. This time we're going to do American Born Chinese from Gene Luen Yang. Uh, this is from 2006, and it's a book containing three separate stories that deal with Chinese myth, memoir, symbolism, and satire about Asian American identity. Ultimately, the stories connect and give an interesting commentary on, like I said, identity. The book has won numerous awards and accolades, including the Eisner Award, the National Book Award, the Prince Award, and has been made into a TV series for Disney Plus. So, like I said, the book is an intersection of three storylines. So the first one kind of deals with myth. So the first story is a take on the myth of the Monkey King. The Monkey King wants to be referred to as a deity, but he's rejected by the other gods. And even as his powers grow, he's foiled by various obstacles. The next one's kind of a memoir. It's a tale. It's a kind of semi-autobiographical story about Gene Wang. He's a young student who's the son of immigrants and whose family has moved to a new neighborhood. And there he's one of the few minority students at his school. And despite the presence of a couple of other Asian Americans there, Jin still struggles to fit in and make friends with the broader white student body. And the third storyline is a little bit more overtly satirical. It's Danny. He appears to be a white high school student visited by his cousin Chin Ki from China. Chin Ki's thick accent and antics embarrass Danny, who's somewhat of a popular student, and Chin Ki seems to win over a number of Danny's peers. However, people seem to be laughing at Chin behind his back, and Danny wishes he leaves. So like I said, the book deals with questions of identity and assimilation from different methods. The Monkey King wants to not be a monkey but a god, and he does whatever he can to achieve this. Kind of denying his monkeyhood seems to be what's holding him back. Jin Wang, it's hard for him to fit in, but part of it seems to be him just being shy and awkward as much it is about his ethnicity, and his Asian best friend seems to do a little better at connecting with people. And then the Danny story takes the form of a supposed sitcom. Danny is a white high school student who's finally starting to fit in. His cousin, who's fresh off the boat, comes to visit. Chin Ki is drawn as a stereotype and embarrasses Danny, which leads to ultimately to a confrontation. So let's see here. So there's a certain amount of subtle sophistication in the writing and the art and blending the stories and themes. The book does a really interesting job of dealing with assimilation. The characters go back and forth between rejecting and accepting their ethnicity and their backgrounds, and it's pretty good at dealing with the characters and their various insecurities, but at the same time making them relatable. The stories are all told in a humor style. Much of the humor is built through the kind of funny dialogue, but it's still believable, and sometimes wacky kind of sight gags. The art's pretty cartoony, but it has a solid sense of timing and layouts. Yang does a great job of getting the expressions and emotions out of a few lines, especially in the faces of the characters. And it's also pretty interesting that the characters seem to be solidly middle class or otherwise privileged. No doubt this is probably based on Yang's circumstance growing up. The characters seem to believe this should automatically afford them acceptance and status, but it doesn't. They struggle to discover how their individual traits are to blame for the situation versus how much is due to their race or ethnicity. And that way, it's kind of more of an intimate examination of racism or even internalized racism rather than a critique of systemic issues per se. Okay, so to kind of wrap it up, American Born Chinese by Gene Luen Yang is a fascinating and entertaining book. It's well written, it's well drawn, and it's quite funny. Yang drew this from his own experiences as well as stories about myth and blended various storytelling methods that give the book a greater impact that it might have had if it was just a straight memoir. And the stories kind of congeal in a fascinating way and has interesting things to say about identity, assimilation, racism, self-acceptance. Oh, I should probably show you a little bit of the art. So let's see here. So, here's some of the Monkey King story here. All right. Here's the, yeah, here's the memoir part. Okay. And then, yeah, here we go. Here's the more satirical part. Everyone loves Chinky. Right, and you got these really nice, simple layouts. They're pretty direct, but you can tell there is an understanding of like how art and anatomy and pacing and storytelling works here. So it looks simple, but like I said, you can tell there's a real knowledge of how art works. Okay. So I don't want to give too much away here. All right, okay, so then that's about it. I got to thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. You guys have a great day. All right, that's it. Bye-bye.